different last names. They had different places of birth. They have different blood types. They had different parents. But on that day, they stood before a judge who announced that the official reality of them being a family. This didn't mean that the family was perfect or even that it had even a perfect day. I can tell you that it wasn't a perfect day. But it was the day that the state of Colorado recognized that the family of Brad and Katie Magnus as one that had, as if were born to them biologically, 3 amazing boys, and a 4th was on the way. You can go to that first picture there. And so this was us back on June 20th, 2019. And we had 3 of the little ones there. And they were so little. Can you believe how little they were? It's incredible. I share that with you because the reality is, in this room, there are many, many different last names. There are many, many different blood types. There's different places of birth. There's different nationalities in the reality of how we view of lineage. But the truth is, we're a family. And we're meant to be a healthy family. I wish I didn't have to share this truth with you, but unfortunately, all around us, the family is being dismantled. Fatherless homes, even when a father is present, battered women or a reversal of roles, the depravity of sexual idolatry, child abuse on every level, the celebration of role and sexual identity, reversal as something of courage. And all of this is being fed into our lives by every media outlet there is, whether it's news or even just sitcoms. See, having a healthy family in 2026 is interpreted as old-fashioned or cultish. In fact, having a healthy family unit of 2 parents, a father and a mother, and children, it's classified in a certain specific way in today's culture. But studies show, and they will always show, that a child, when it's introduced into a healthy family and a healthy culture, they thrive and they grow. Now, we do not need to highlight the ugly truth of the world's definition of a family unit. All we need to do is to look at what the Bible teaches when it comes to having a healthy family unit. And the first institution biblically what was created was the family. Adam and Eve were meant to multiply and have a healthy family. So just as we are to work diligently to build a healthy family, Christ Church is meant to look like a healthy family. And I have this note I want you to see. It's up on the screen here. Healthy family is not a family without problems and difficulties. A healthy family is one that strives for each member of the family to serve in their God-created role and identity. It's a husband looking at a wife and saying, hey, listen, I believe that God is doing a work in your life, and I see this, and I want to see you grow in this. Or a wife looking at her husband and saying, listen, I see God has his hand in your life, and he wants to see this in your life, and I want to see you grow in this. I don't want to limit you. I want to see God do this in your life. Or we look at our children, and instead of just saying, I want you to be like me, we say, I want you to be like Christ, and I want to see you grow in this area of like Christ and follow Christ's plan in this area, or a brother and sister in the Lord, instead of trying to hold on to them or to try to control them in that way. By the way, I don't know if you realize this, but Jesus identified what a biblical family was. In the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 46 through 50, it says, while he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee. But he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother? And who are my brethren? It kind of sounds like a very harsh thing to say, right? Hey, your mom and your bros, they're waiting for you. They want to talk with you. Now, we weren't there. We didn't see what was taking place. But Jesus said, who are they? Who really are my mother and my brother? He continues, he says, he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, "Behold, my mother and my brethren." Can you imagine Peter saying, "Well, no, I'm not your mama." Like, right? Like, no, hang on a second. He says, "Behold, my mother and my brethren, for whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother." That's not the only place that Jesus identifies family. He continues to build a healthy family even as he went to the cross. In John 19, 25 through 27, now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother and his mother's sister Mary, the wife of Cleopas, and Mary Magdalene. And when Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by, whom he loved, which was John, he said unto his mother, "Woman, behold thy son," referring to John. Then he said to his disciple, "Behold thy mother." And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home. Before we jump in here to chapter 5 and we talk about this healthy family that Christ desires us to have for the church, I want you to know and take it seriously that every one of us can and should help build a healthy family of God. What God's desire for you in this place is not just to be preached to a message, is not just to attend a service at Maranatha. God intends for you to be a part of building the healthy family here at Maranatha. God has built you here on purpose to build one another in this family unit. So how do we do this when it's always easier to dismantle the family? Isn't it? Isn't it always easier to point out somebody's flaws? You know what, brother? I just don't really like where you sit every single Sunday. You know what, my friend? I just really don't look at me when you do this and I say this. You know what? I'm just gonna put out all the negativity that I see, because really, family's all about me being happy with you instead of you being happy with me serving you, right? It's always easier to have family that way because that's not what we see around the world. But what Christ identifies here is family is not about me. Family is about me serving you. A healthy family is about me helping you in your needs instead of you just taking care of myself. So I see that Paul lays out 3 disciplines that will help build a healthy church family. And I'll be the first to tell you, there's times that yours truly does not always practice some of these healthy disciplines. So I'm preaching this to you as well as myself. So let's start off with the first 2 verses this morning and see the very first discipline. Discipline number 1, you ready? Treat one another as family. Interesting. How does he start it? Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a what? A father. And the younger men as what? Brethren. And the elder women as what? Mothers. And the younger sisters with all purity. So he's referring to what? A family. Treat one another as, you mean even the person that's seated all the way over there? You mean that person that didn't help me out that one time? Yeah. Treat them as family. Listen, if I was to treat my children and my wife always how they treat me, would that be a healthy family? Absolutely not. But we're meant to treat one another in a biblical way better than what we even deserve. So he refers, first of all, to this elder, the older men. Instead of rebuking them, he encourages them to come alongside. So to deal with them, instead of rebuking them and where they're at, you bring them alongside of you. Now, who is my elder? Who's my elder? My father, Pastor Donnie. He's older. Any older man in this room is my elder, right? So what about all the younger men? What about the younger men? How am I supposed to treat them? As children? No, as brothers. All the younger women as sisters. It's how we view. In fact, brothers and sisters with moral purity, I defined this thought for us this morning. Moral purity is the discipline of how a minister is to view young women. Now, I came across an article, I think my wife is the one that shared it with me years ago. Jen Wilkin wrote a great article on the 3 female ghosts that haunt the church. What it comes down to is how the minister views women, and some view women, and this is the summary of it, some view women as the usurper, meaning seen threatening authority. The second ghost is the temptress, feared as a sexual predator. And then the last is as the child, viewed as lacking maturity. And these labels hinder healthy, collaborative ministry. Instead, what God's desire for the minister to view the younger women, the sisters, is meant to be viewed them with morality. Now, despite popular belief, the gospel family can be thicker than blood. My family itself is living proof of that. My children were not born to me biologically, but yet they are closer to me than any biological child that I could ever have. They are my sons, just like our church, whether different blood, different color, are closer, are meant to be closer than blood. The truth is, we treat people, though, as we see them, as Paul defines here. If they're annoying, we treat them as if they're annoying, right? If they're always squeaky and always got problems, or if they're always mean, we keep our distance. I know I'm just not going to go spend time with that kind of person because, So I encourage you to build a relationship and help them until you can't. The only time that we are meant to distance ourselves from a brother or sister is when they're living in an unrepentant sin. This is what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 5. But now I have written to you not to keep company with anyone named a brother who is sexually immoral, covetous, or an idolater, or a reviler, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, not even to eat with such a person. What he's saying is, hey, listen, these people that you like to spend time with, your brothers and sisters in the Lord that you spend time with, if they're living in unrepentant sin, don't spend time with them until they decide to make Christ first in their life. You don't need to be fellowshipping with them. But who do we see Jesus fellowship with again and again and again and again throughout the Gospels? Sinners. It wasn't the fact that somebody was a sinner that was the problem. It was their heart, which